All right, what is happening? Welcome to week 10 of the Other D1 podcast. My name is Jordan Selfo. As always, joining me is Kyle. I still can't go perfect on my stand picks fishback. Kyle, how we doing, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
How was
Just
the
another
weekend?
another phenomenal week. Yeah, I mean, great games, perfect weather. I mean, I sat outside all day yesterday and just watched football.
Yeah,
So,
no.
what about you, man?
Yeah, it was a good weekend. We had a little Halloween party last night, so it was pretty funny. Me and my fiance Kayla, we went dressed as Dumb and Dumber in the baby blue and orange suits. So with the
Yeah.
top hat, had the cane and everything. It was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, just an awesome weekend of football. We got a lot to get to for sure. Got a great interview today for y'all with Coach Travis Bush. He's the head coach down there at UTRGV. Yeah, it was a good conversation with him. Just building something literally from scratch
Right.
down there in McAllen. So what stood out to you, this weekend outside of the Southland Conference?
Outside the Southland, I mean, we had a couple thrillers in
Yeah, we
FCS
did.
level. Number 7, North Dakota loses to Youngstown State in overtime. They elected to go for two, tried to win it, but didn't quite work out. So
Yeah.
they fall. Other than that, yeah, I mean, getting Texas A&M getting the win over LSU, that was always fun to watch. But
Dude, that game was chippy as shit. Like they were, I mean, jawing back and forth, like pregame pushing and shoving. I love seeing that. I love
oh
that.
yeah. No, it
Yeah.
was a great decision by Elko to make the switch at quarterback. Otherwise, it could have been
Yeah.
a blowout. But
For sure. Yeah, and then, for me, South Dakota State, number 3, they just scrape one by against number 4 South Dakota in overtime. South Dakota had to settle for a field goal in the first possession in overtime, but South Dakota State, they were able to punch it in for a win. So, yeah, that was an awesome game to see. But let's jump right into it. So we're going to cover, recap all the week 9 slate. Great games, especially that game of the week. That was just
phenomenal.
incredible. But we're going to start here. We got Lamar playing at Northwestern. The final there, Lamar 42-10 comes away with the win pretty easily. Kyle, what you
Yeah.
got on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely looked like Lamar was gonna hang around. I mean, 21-7 at halftime. I know
Yeah,
that's not ideal, but you're
you're in
you're at
striking
least
distance still,
right.
you know?
So that was promising to see. I mean, they had 329 yards of total offense, but Lamar, just the better team, came out second half and it got ugly
Just put it
quick.
away. Yeah.
Yeah,
21 points in the third quarter. I mean, that'll shut it out
yeah,
pretty quick.
right. What about
Yeah, I
you?
mean, Robert Coleman, he was 8 of 14, 202 yards, three with the 3 tuds. I mean, he looked good. They didn't have to go crazy in the air. Just stay consistent, take care of the football. Kalen Griffin, 120 yards on 19 attempts. He had a touchdown. Savon Ray, he had 2 receptions for 74 yards and a touchdown. So yeah, I mean, they look good on Lamar's side. And then we go over to Northwestern State, just a tough game. Quatrius Hawkins, he was 14-29, 139 yards. He had the 2 picks that were just bad decisions.
Yeah, they were.
And it looked like he got injured in the third quarter. I guess that's why they brought in Kareem Cotton.
That's right. I mean, he's actually listed as a receiver on the depth chart, but he's bounced back and forth between quarterback and receiver, so he's got experience there. But that just tells you how banged up Northwestern State is.
Yeah,
Having to,
just riddled with injuries. It's
right.
been that's been real tough. Couple other notes here. When Quaterius got injured, he was rolling out to his left. I mean, just a bad decision. I mean, if you're gonna I said it last week. If you're gonna throw the ball away, throw it in the first row of the stands. Don't leave any doubt. That was a pick there, and then But I mean, honestly, like with this game being such a blowout in the second half, like Coach McCorkle talks about it all the time, where he loves the fight of his guys, and I mean, they were still playing hard. Like they're still out there trying their damnedest to, keep whatever,
Right.
keep it close somehow. Yeah, I mean, Blake Gocher was still flying around. He had 10 total tackles, leading the defense again. I mean, he's just a machine out there. Not a ton of notes on this one. Dude, honestly, I love the all purple for Northwestern.
It looks sharp.
Dude,
I really,
those
yeah.
unis are clean,
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, they were fighting hard, and you respect that, and that says something about what Coach McCorkle is doing with the culture there.
Right.
They really had a chance late in the second quarter, forced a punt. Lamar muffs the punt, so they get the ball on the 15-yard line. and this is a chance to make it a one possession ball game right before half. And Quaterius overthrows his tight end running the corner route, and safety's right there to make the pick. So plays like one play like that changed the whole outcome, the
Exactly.
whole feel for that team going into half. Yeah, ultimately Lamar they made their adjustments at halftime and came out and just
One thing I did want to point out, I mean, Robert Coleman, he does such a good job under pressure as a quarterback, just keeping his eyes downfield, finding his open guys. I really like to see that. We talked about a couple guys last week where it looks like they're literally staring at the back of their offensive line and just not even under pressure and already escaping the pocket. Robert Coleman, he does a really good job of staying in the pocket, even under pressure, keeping his eyes downfield and finding those open receivers. So I like to see that out of him.
yeah, taking care of the football again, like we've been talking about all season. He doesn't throw a lot of picks and doesn't fumble it, so that's all you can ask for. All right, next game up, we got Texas A&M-Commerce at Prairie View A&M. Prairie View A&M getting the upset there, 34-27. Jordan missing his stamp pick. What did you see? What did you like about this?
God damn it. Come on, Coach Dolezal. I needed you in this one, man. This was a tough game. Prairie View A&M, I mean, they scored 21 points in the first quarter. They came out hot, ready to roll. They just essentially kind of not put the game away, immediately, but it almost felt like that. You know what I mean? Like they just kept that momentum up, that energy throughout the entire game. And then A&M-Commerce, they make a good push late in the fourth quarter. They score 14 points. Prairie View A&M's 3. So yeah, it's just too little, too late. Ron Peace going down in the third quarter. That was that definitely hurt A&M-Commerce, and it didn't look like an egregious play. Like he just rolled out. He was on the goal line, gets tackled, and then just comes up limping. And it seemed like after that, he stayed in for a couple more plays after that, and he just couldn't. I don't know if he couldn't drive off the ball, he couldn't plant. Like I couldn't tell which leg it was, but he was gimpy as hell.
Yeah.
So that hurt him. And then Will Madonna has to pick up the slack for the rest of the game. But I mean, he looked pretty good. He made some good throws. He was accurate with the football. He had that one interception, which I mean, obviously, that wasn't even his fault. But
right.
And then BK Jackson ripping off a couple big runs. So I mean, what'd you think?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it was ankle related. When Peace went down, it probably just got rolled up on, but you could tell those next two plays afterwards. Yeah, he missed a wide open receiver for a touchdown because he couldn't put pressure on it. So yeah, Will Madonna comes in, and obviously game's a little out of hand at that point. So he has.
So they're literally just trying to call back,
Right. And, A&M, Prairie View A&M is probably not dialing up the pressure like they were early in the game. So,
I mean, another thing too, like A&M-Commerce's defense just, we don't want to shit on people or, put people down, but that defense did not look good. They did not show up. They they left a wide open post for Prairie View A&M for a long touchdown there. Just miscommunications all over the field. So, yeah.
Yeah. Too many chunk plays. Chunk plays. And
way too many chunk plays.
Turnovers continue to be a problem. You got to eliminate some of those if you want to win these ball games because they've played a lot of people close this entire season.
Yeah. A lot of penalties too in this game.
Right.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be the theme this week is turnovers and penalties. If we can eliminate those, I mean you're just putting yourself in a better situation, obviously. But Ron Peace, he was 13-26 with 167 yards. Had that that bad pick before going out. And then Will Madonna comes in. He was 17-30 for 178 yards, 2 tuds and a pick. BK Jackson, like I mentioned, he had 70 yards on 7 attempts. So it was just it was good production, just too little, too late. And then on defensive side, my boy Brandon Tucker Jr., he had 12 total tackles, 1.5 TFLs. So gotta get started earlier with this A&M-Commerce team.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, turnovers, penalties, and then they still. I mean, I know BK Jackson had the one rush for 54 yards that made up most of his yardage on the day, but the running game is just non-existent. And I know you're playing from behind. You got to throw the ball, but you got to find a way to get the running game going, or else
Yeah, you got to find that balance. Got to find that balance, especially running game. All you're doing is just setting up the play action. That's how you get those explosives. So all right, let's move on to the next game. We got McNeese at Nicholls. Final there. Nicholls wins 24-19. Kyle, what you got on this one?
Well, you hit your stamp pick of the under because it was certainly a
Yeah, I
defensive
did.
game.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I mean, back and forth game. Obviously, when you start out the game with a safety, you know it's gonna be a defensive grind.
Such a bad play.
Yeah, bad decision to get rid of the ball. But
Yeah.
felt like Nicholls was in control of this game, even though the score didn't show it. Felt like they were winning by more than they were. So
Yeah, it really did. Like McNeese, like they just couldn't get consistent rhythm on offense.
yeah, six killer looked decent. It just took too many sacks, and just they were able to move the ball at times. But there's other times where just didn't look like the offense was gelling or meshing. And Nicholls' defense, obviously, we would talk about them multiple times before how deep they are and how good they are. So
Yeah.
I know it's a tough situation to be in. Yeah, some of those sacks you gotta find a way to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, six killer. He was 22 of 40. He had 233. Had that one pick, just a bad pick. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry. That was the good. It wasn't that bad of a pick. It was right there at the end of the game where he hits. It was either like a seam or a slant over the middle. Eli Ennis is just there to literally rip the ball away from the receiver. That basically sealed the game. McNeese had the ball with like 20 seconds left or something like that. Their rushing game was pretty damn good. Joshawn Barbie, he had 121 yards on 13 attempts in a tud. Pat McQuaid on the other side, he was 18 of 34 with 178 yards. Touchdown, had that was the bad pick I was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a bad pick. And then he had a rushing touchdown as well. Kel Brock, he was 101 yards on 9 attempts and a touchdown, just ripping off big play after big play. And then old Guggenheimer, Colin Guggenheim, he had 41 yards, 2 receptions for 39 yards. He had that touchdown. I think that was the screen play, right?
Yeah, right before half, 1 minute left, 39-yard screen. Guggenheim just takes it the distance, breaks a couple tackles along the way. I love the play call.
Great play call. Yeah, a couple other notes here. Like I said, bad throw by McQuaid for that pick.
Great play by the DB too. I mean, he jumped the hitch and he saw it coming. Yeah, McQuaid, you got to throw that more to the outside shoulder.
Well, to me, it was like get the ball out quicker.
Right, right.
You should be hitting it right out the receiver's break. You shouldn't be waiting, to see if he's open and then throw the ball. By then, you're already way too late. That's why the guy was able to undercut it and jump it so quickly. Too many penalties in this game, man. Way too many penalties. Micah Davey, he was out there for McNeese on the defensive side. He led the way with 7 total tackles, but I mean, he went down. I think it was in the third quarter. He was out with it looked like a left leg injury, but he had a right calf cramp earlier in the game. So I don't know what's going on with Micah. We got to stay healthy, man. Stay hydrated. But I mean, he's still even leaving the game. He led the way on defense, and then Jake Delmato for Nicholls, he had 10 total tackles with 4 sacks. So I mean, like you said, defensive game here. Just got to take care of the football, and then McNeese, they got to find that better rhythm. It seems like six killer will come out and have a great game, but come right back around and just not be consistent, not taking care of the football, and just not hitting the throws you need to hit.
Yeah, again, I don't think he did a bad job, but when you're facing a tough defense like that, you got to be on the money every single time, and those sacks will kill drives. So. And then the block punt. I don't know if you saw that block punt.
That block. It wasn't a block punt. Yeah. But I mean, he literally kicked it. That was the Nicholls punter.
Nicholls punter,
into the back of his personal protector
because he got blown up by a McNeese defender, pushed him all the way back in there. So
I know that was so bad. Yeah, if you're the personal protector, you got to hold your ground, man. Hold your ground. That's the worst position in all the sports, in my opinion. I mean, you're literally sitting there just taking a concussion every punt. I mean,
just a free shot.
It's terrible. And then, when I talked about, all these bad penalties, Bugsy Silvera it's just a dumb personal foul. Pat McQuaid sliding, just try and lay off of him. No need to throw your head in there. It got reviewed for targeting. I mean, I thought it was targeting, but they came back and just threw a personal foul on it. So just got to eliminate the penalties and turnovers. We're going to talk about this every freaking week. Penalties and turnovers. Eliminate those and you'll be good. So,
all right. Next up, we got UIW at Southeastern. Final there, 34-31. I missed the stamp pick.
I hit mine. Let's go.
Yeah, we don't miss on our game of the weeks. I mean, this one was all it was talked up to be.
This absolutely incredible game. Incredible game. Ugly by Southeastern. I mean, gotta take care of the football, eliminate the turnovers. But the fact that they had those turnovers and we're still in this one, it's a testament to that culture that over there at Southeastern and they're going to fight. You know,
Yep.
they're going to fight till the last second. But just, I mean, just incredible game. First note I got is on the announcers. It was so fucking hilarious. Literally, it was like a penalty called or something, and they're like, yeah, the announcer's like, I don't believe it was on 72 because I don't see a 72 on the depth chart. Literally, number 72 on our TV screen right there. No, there's a 72 there, bud. But that was so freaking funny. I mean, Calzada, he had some awesome throws. Just a great throw down the right side for a touchdown. It was that fade route to Waldhall. You know, Southeastern not able to capitalize on you know, they had a turnover and downs in the first quarter, UIW did, and Southeastern had to settle for a field goal. I mean, on those you know, when you get the ball back, you got to capitalize on those opportunities to go score a touchdown. And you know, fake punt in the second quarter, that was a great play. I love the play call on that one. Throw back to the punter. We crush kickers on this podcast all the time. Great kick by Southeastern's kicker, you know, in the second quarter, I believe. It was 46-yarder. I mean, we're seeing deeper and deeper kicks, you know, out of these Southland Conference kickers. I mean, what else did you have?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just like you mentioned, credit to Southeastern for finding a way to stay in this game, even with those turnovers. But on the flip side, UIW just got to find a way to close out these games. You know, your last 4 possessions of the ball game, you punt 4 times. Yeah, you got to find a way to sustain some drives or put some points on the board and put this game out of reach. Regardless, they find a way to get the win. It's never easy playing down there in Hammond. So just,
you know, a couple other things like the fumble by Sawyer. I mean, literally just the ball slips out of his hand. They just scoop it up for a fumble 6, and then you had the pick 6 too.
Yep.
I mean, it's just, you got to take care of the football. But I mean, dude, they seriously had a legit opportunity. You know, 0 timeouts. You're on your own 20-yard line. You got to drive the length of the field to. All you got to do is tie it up. I mean, luckily, you know, they got the 2-point conversion on the score before to make it a 3-point game. You know, great. I do love the clock management there. When you're driving though, as a receiver, you gotta think, hey, we're getting out of bounds. You can't, like, I mean, they literally had that. It was like a curl route on the left side. The guy literally comes back inside rather than breaking out to the sideline to get out of bounds, stop the clock. And then, you know, Jalen DiMaggio, they run that like little quick sprint out to the left, just drop. I mean, just easy throw and catch, just drops it just to try and get them to advance a little bit closer for that field goal. But I mean, shit, they kicked a 59-yard field goal to try and tie it.
Plenty of distance.
I mean, that shit was good from 65. Yeah. I mean, it was insane. And I asked my dad about it. I was just like, hey, you know, what was a thought process? Like, I didn't hate the call at all. Like, if you have a kicker who can kick that far, by all means, you know, I think that's a better chance than a Hail Mary. But I literally asked him, I was like, you know, what was the thought process kicking it versus throwing a Hail Mary? And he's like, because I mean, the guy's got a leg. Yep. You know what I mean? Like, that gives me a better opportunity to score points, literally just tossing it up to a group of guys and hoping somebody comes down with it.
I agree. Definitely shouldn't have come down to that. But yeah, credit Southeastern. I mean, you thought we were about to see 2 magical back-to-back week.
I know.
2-minute drive for wins, and
I know.
Yeah, just a little bit of lack of awareness on their part on some of those plays, but I mean, had an opportunity.
Yeah, Calzada looked pretty good. He was 21-31. He had 238 with 2 tuds. I mean, nothing crazy here. You know, just taking care of the football, making good decisions.
Still had a couple.
Still had a couple, but at least, you know, those missed throws aren't leading to turnovers. You know, right? But DK Taylor, excuse me, he had 82 yards on 16 attempts in the tud. Lontrell Turner, he showed up, you know, again, or not again, but he showed up on the Russian side with 50 yards. Eli Sawyer, he was 25 of 42 with 207, 2 tuds, and 2 picks. Just, you know, got to take care of the football. Antonio Martin, he had 75 yards and 18 attempts. Harlan Dixon, he had 42 yards and 10 attempts. Jalen DiMaggio, 10 receptions for 97 yards and a touchdown. So, I mean, you got good offensive production out of the Southeastern side. Just got to take care of the football, and then UIW just staying consistent. You know what I mean? Just keep staying consistent. Jalen Waldhall with 5 receptions for 70 yards and a tud. And then Roy Alexander, obviously, he's that second guy over there for UIW. He had five receptions for 57 yards and a tud. This is just such a fun game. You know, frustrating as hell if you're a Southeastern fan, but I love these games. These games are so much fun to watch.
You never know what you're going to get. I mean, yeah. It should have been lights out, and then with those pick six and the fumble for six, I mean,
Yeah.
should have been over. But yeah, fun game. I mean, you didn't know what you were going to get in the second half, and so I mean, in current words, sitting on top of the leaderboard right now. They
Yeah,
have
they are.
their own fate in their hands. So
Yeah,
it'll
we're
be
gonna we're
interesting to
gonna get
see.
to the Southland Conference standings after our interview with Coach Bush, but let's move on to the next game. We got HCU at SFA. Final there was 55-6. SFA coming out with the win. I guess not really coming out, but Kyle, what you got on this one?
Well, they certainly covered my stamp and
Yeah,
then
they did.
some. So, I mean, sloppy first quarter for both teams, but after that, SFA jumped out to a big
Yeah.
lead and never looked back. Sam Vidlock is the guy.
Yeah, he is.
Just SFA is going to be a dangerous team come down this last stretch of conference play. I'm fired
Yeah,
up.
they
I
are.
mean, it was a good game. It's tough for HCU. I'm not sure what was going on with the quarterback situation. The switch between CJ Rogers and Brick Handler.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Felt like neither of them could get a rhythm, and it didn't look like it was any injury-related reasoning for that.
Yeah, I mean, a couple notes I had. Vidlak had that bad interception. You got to see on a slant over the middle. Just got to see that linebacker dropping into coverage. I mean, got to be able to pick that up.
Three guys right there, so it was a bad decision.
He can't really crush Vidlak too much in this game.
No,
he had a hell of a game, and then like you said, with Brick Handler and CJ Rogers rotating in and out, it just didn't really see what was going on there. I mean, I guess they were just trying to find a rhythm on offense and see who can give them that spark.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, this game was 3-0 after the first quarter. HCU's they are easily in the game, and then SFA puts up 21 points in the second quarter, 21 points in the third quarter. Golly, I mean, you're right there, and then you give up these huge chunk plays. Sam had that wide. I mean, I don't know if it was a busted coverage, a miscommunication, what it was. I mean, Jordan Neighbors just running free down the middle on that post for the touchdown. That was right there. Basically, I think it was like 9 minutes left or 10 minutes left in the second quarter.
Right.
And that kind of that was basically started
the fireworks show.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, leading up to that drive though, I mean, SFA gets a turnover on downs, PI call. I thought that was a PI. I don't know how they don't call that. Down the right side by HCU, they have to they have to punt the ball, but they had a great punt to pin them back, and then at their own 4-yard line, a 96 just rips off a 96-yard touchdown. Yeah, I mean, we'll roll through the stats right here. So Eli Brickhandler, he was 4 of 12 for 69 yards in that pick. CJ Rogers, he was only 7 of 13 for 34 yards. Looking on the SFA side, I mean, hell of a job. Sam Vidlak, 20 of 28 for 316, 5 touchdowns. And then that pick that we talked about, Jalen Jenkins getting it done on the ground, man. 110 yards, 21 attempts. Jordan Neighbors, like I've been talking about, he had 3 receptions for 108 yards. And then that 96-yard touchdown. Clayton Whalen, he had 3 receptions for 92 yards and 2 tuds. So yeah, this SFA offense is it's something to be dealt with for sure.
The reason they're ranked top 5 in the nation in scoring. So I mean, if they keep ripping off games like this, and I keep saying, watch out for them.
Yeah, no, for sure. They're a problem in the Southland Conference. I mean, teams really have to watch out for them. But if you're on the HCU side, you gotta
offensively, you gotta find a way.
Something. Yeah, try to find something.
Which is not what I expected. Spark. I mean, they've done a good job a few weeks ago against Indiana State, McNeese, putting up some points, and they had that up tempo and it was working.
Yeah,
but, the last 2 games, against Southeastern last week, only putting up 7 points, and then this week against SFA, only putting up 6 points. Something's not clicking right now. So going back to the drawing board there.
I hate the 2 quarterback system, but yep.
I'm with you.
We're gonna kick it over to our interview. We got a good interview with Coach Travis Bush of UTRGV. So we'll see you on the other side. All right, we'd like to welcome on our next guest to the Other D1 podcast. He is starting up his program at UTRGV down there in McAllen. Coach Travis Bush. Coach, how we doing, man?
Doing good. How you guys?
Doing well. Excited to have you.
Yep.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, let's start here. I mean, new football program down there in McAllen. I mean, how's the buzz around town and getting a new, essentially a collegiate football program?
I guess it's almost, coming up on 2 years since taking the job, but the support the fans there are already phenomenal. I mean, we sold out season tickets for every game already. We're still a year away from playing a game.
Oh, that's awesome.
I mean, it's just it's been fun to watch, but you wouldn't expect, if you're familiar with the Valley, you would expect nothing less. And they do something to do it big. The way they love their high school football, and just they've embraced this program, and just dating back from the past 2 years, it just keeps growing every week. And now we got guys on campus. I think we had 2,500 fans in the stands for our first practice. We had an open practice, so you can you can imagine what it's going to build over the next few months.
That's awesome.
Yeah, Coach, we just wanted to jump back into your career and your playing career. You and I both share the same alma mater at Greg Portland, down there in South Texas. Yes, sir.
Wildcat pride, baby.
That's right. You had a great high school career there, playing under your dad, and eventually getting recruited by Texas State to play receiver. Can you just talk about your playing career and how that transition was from quarterback to receiver?
Yeah, actually, really wasn't recruited. I was a 5'9" high school option quarterback. So only ones that wanted me were Army, Air Force, and Navy back then. But ended up knew I wanted to coach, and ended up having walked on at Texas State or Southwest Texas back then, and really took a few weeks of dropping back under center, not being able to see anything, and asking
right,
me,
right there with you, right there with you.
Quarterback. So. Craig Stump was our offensive coordinator back then, head coach of the Tascasita now. And I remember asking him, I said, I need to play something else. And so was able to move to receiver and was able to earn a scholarship and play 4 years and really loved special teams. And I was on every special team and ended up being the special team captain there our senior year. That was just wanted a way to get on the field and play football, and but fell in love with special teams and had a fun time there. Didn't win much, but had a fun time.
Well, I mean, Coach, you get your starting, in coaching for your dad at San Marcos High School. Was he the main reason why you decided to follow that path?
Yeah, and it was growing up around, obviously, in the field house as a coach's kid, and back, he was at Alice in the 80s, which was a big powerhouse, and then of course in Gregory Portland in the 90s. But really, watching the passion, the toughness, the cultures they were building there. And after a while, when you started to see the guys he coached come back years later with families and just really praise him for how much he instilled in them and how it impacted lives, and seeing that firsthand was kind of what made me want to get into the profession.
No, I get it. I didn't follow that path, so.
Coach, I mean, I was in San Antonio. Jordan was in San Antonio right when that UTSA inaugural season was kicking off, and you could feel the buzz around town. Can you just talk about that experience and what it was like to start a program from the ground up with head coach Larry Coker leading the way?
Yeah, we hated it, by the way.
Y'all got all the hype.
Yeah, y'all were getting all the hype, and we couldn't even sell out the stadium. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to be a part of. I knew one of the reasons to go take the job, the main reason was Larry Coker, the opportunity to work with him and what I could learn from him at that point, but also being a part of a startup program. And I remember telling my wife when we were deciding to take the job, I was like, you never know, this experience may come back and benefit us later down the road in the future. And of course, being a part of that was a big piece of being a part of this. But it was fun. Again, just I think looking back, it made us better coaches, because you got a group of just freshmen. You really had to go back to teaching fundamentals and really developing guys, and to see that initial group and the ones that stuck it out, and then. I was on the just the way the community, the city of San Antonio just rallied behind everybody, and we had struggles early, but then to see what that program's done in the past really 13 years, it's fun to watch. And now you fast forward here, what can this program be 10, 15, 20 years from now as well. And again, we were on the ground floor of that. We were practicing at Ferris Stadium with no locker room, no offices, nothing to call our own, and going through that experience and seeing what it is now. Where's this going to be? And knowing that we were part of the original on the ground floor is going to be cool again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and then, going back to some other stops you had, you were at TCU, Texas State, UTSA, obviously, Houston, then you head up to the NFL with the Bills for a year. I mean, what stint along the way stood out for you the most, and what'd you pick up along the way in your coaching style?
There are really, it's a combination of all of them. dating back from working for my father, and really, in the Hall of Honor in the THSCA, and always been known for his organization, detail, of course, his offense, going to TCU and Gary Patterson's first 3 years and around that staff, and just again, you learn to work for Gary Patterson. You learn to work or you get fired. And he demanded excellence every day, and I loved it. I mean, that's what I grew up around. But again, the coaches we were able to be around there, but just that mentality, that work ethic, and that demand for details from him, and then come down with David Bailiff at Texas State, who really a true players coach, and you really learn from him to put yourself in players' shoes. When you're making decisions and really being in tune to the overall team was fun. And then go see, Larry Coker was such a different personality, and just so calm, cool, collective, but so professional with everything he did, and it just commanded so much respect, and he was just really so kind to everybody he met, and respected. And here's a guy who's won national championships, and he'd walk in and he'd ask anybody off the street, sit down in his office and really want to learn about them. I remember some scenarios there. And Tony Levine at Houston, again, very detailed, meticulous, very great recruiter, great on special teams. You'll again learn a lot of different things from him. And then of course the coaches we were around, and the biggest thing in Buffalo, going up there 6 months, I think I learned more in 6 months than 15 years ahead of that. It's just a complete different level of detailed precision and professionalism, and just there's just so much. So everything now is kind of a combination of a big melting pot of all those experiences and stops, which very blessed along the way to work with the guys I have and allow them to take the things I've learned from them and put them.
Coach. Sure. I mean, before taking the UTRGV job, obviously we talked about these stops, collegiate level, and then 2015 you were there at the Buffalo Bills. Past 7 years, you were coaching high school football here in Texas at Seguin and Canyon High School. I mean, what was the motivation to go back to the high school level? I'm sure you had plenty of opportunities. So just talk about those past 7 years before starting the UTRGV.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest reason was our two boys, and you knew I always wanted to coach them, play for my dad, and that was kind of always the plan down the road. And me and my wife talked about, we'll see what happens about that time, but everything kind of it worked out. And after we left Buffalo, our oldest was going to be a freshman, and really kind of made the decision to come back to Texas and find a high school job, and ended up getting the AD head coach job at Seguin for 5 years, and then moved over to Bravos Canyon when our youngest Ty was a freshman, and really going back to those two stops too. I miss those, from that piece of being an athletic director and head coach, and the decision making and facilities. We built the stadium at Seguin, we built high school, we built building a budget. All those things too, even though it's a different level, has helped come into this job and being able to. We've built all kinds of facilities and just working from that standpoint. But honestly, I was committed to retiring as a high school coach, and had never even thought about anything else. We talked maybe once Ty graduated. Ty's still a senior right now. Once he graduated, we'll see where we are and see what we feel if we wanted to get back try to get back in the game. And then after that season at Canyon, get a phone call from Chase Conk, and here we are. So, but it was honestly it was. It was very unexpected, but really knew that I set out to finish coaching my son. So really sat down with Ty and asked him. And once we started getting kind of serious about the talks about the job, I asked Ty. I said, "Hey, look, I know Chase. I don't want to lead them on. If you want to stay and coach you at Canyon, then I'll stay. I'll let them know that this isn't an option." And he took about 24 hours and then came back and said, "No, go. I want you to go for it and see what happens." So
I'm sure he was like, "Shit, Dad's playing favoritism here. He likes the oldest better than he." I get it all the time. It's okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, but nah, but yeah, so he had a big piece of that decision. But I think after that he was like, "But does that mean I can have your truck?" So I think he just wanted the truck.
The important questions.
Yeah, I don't think he cared about me coaching them at all. He just wanted the truck.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all these notable places, like which athlete to you, I like to ask coaches this, it's a very loaded question, I know, but which athlete stood out to you the most? Like, who was the most dominant athlete that you either played with or coached with or coached coached?
Well, had obviously had being in Buffalo, had a chance to be around those running backs. LaShawn McCoy was our running back, and Sammy Watkins was a receiver, and so that's just a different level. College wise, it was always fun. You look back at those those underdog kind of guys, the Eric Sosas that you get out of Beeville, and nobody wanted, ends up coming in and taking starting UTSA program off from scratch, and there's so many different guys along the way. Had a chance to coach Bradley George at Texas State, and set a lot of records there as a quarterback. And then had some good guys. Got the opportunity to recruit Greg Ward at Houston, and brought him in, and he ended up we left, but ended up being a big time quarterback for them. I think he's still on the roster, still on the NFL roster. So a lot of those guys you see, you get to see them from high school, then you get to coach them and see them in college, and then when you watch them go off to the NFL and have great careers, those are the good stories.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I definitely remember the name Eric Sosa. So it's good to see South Texas guys getting the stops and getting the chance to, like you mentioned, start that UTSA program. And speaking of which, I mean, that inaugural season, I'm sure you learned a lot there under Larry Coker. How has that transitioned, or how have you implemented some of those strategies or practices into the UTRGV program and what you want to build here?
Yeah, and it's just really a lot of the things we didn't think of till they happened there. And try to have a better plan for them here. I know one of the biggest things we didn't realize was we got all that first class in, which was all true freshmen, and then realized that they don't have upperclassmen to learn from. They don't have guys to show them where the cafeterias, whether how to handle yourself in the dorm, how to study, how to work. So with this class, we have to be those guys as coaches, and really even going back to this first class that we recruiting those sure captains, guys that could come in and really almost act as upperclassmen right now. But we've got 87 guys on the roster, and over 80 of them are true freshmen right now. So never will we have that many freshmen ever again. But just
hopefully not.
Yeah.
Just having a plan on things to understand what we're dealing with on that side, with 80 freshmen with more attention and more freedom than they've ever had in their life, and trying to keep them in line.
So, I mean, y'all are basically, how's the morale of the team? Y'all are essentially going through a year of off-season practice.
Yeah.
How are the guys handling it? How's it been so far?
I think we did a good job with the schedule, and that was something different too. Not just going 15 straight weeks of practice. We brought them in later. We didn't really start till school started. We practiced all through September, kind of set it up like 3 spring balls. In fact, we just finished our second session right now, 3-week session. And so they'll have an open week next week, which we'll just spend a couple of days in the weight room, take the practice off their bodies, give them a little breather. And we did that the last week of September as well. And then we'll come back and we'll really only have 3 weeks of practice left, and that'll get us right up to the week before Thanksgiving. And then we'll wrap up some meetings and stuff the week of Thanksgiving. But it's flown by. This second session flew by, and we got guys on the road next week. Yes, we utilize those open weeks too to get guys on the road. So we got guys out to high schools and junior colleges all over the area, or all over the surrounding states too, next week.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, speaking of recruiting and getting guys on the road, love to ask coaches this. What's your thoughts on the NIL, the transfer portal, the college landscape that we see today? Obviously, you're fielding a team of mostly freshmen from the ground up. So how does that differ from other programs, and what are your just general thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's obviously it's an ever changing game. It changes daily, weekly. So I don't know if there's really much thought. It is what it is, and we've got to adapt and evolve in order to compete. This first year, hopefully at our level, we'd love to keep the genuineness of the game and not have to deal too much with all these big NIL things. But we are working on a plan we got a plan in place if we to get to that point. But I think comparing this time to UTSA, when we started, we did not have the transfer portal,
right? And
we recruited 2 classes, and we kicked off in 2011 with redshirt freshmen and true freshmen. That's all we had on the roster. So the portal now gives us the opportunity to get some men in here and get some upperclassmen right off the bat, and really from a roster management standpoint, try to balance out our classes as soon as possible. And get a good number of seniors, juniors, sophomores. So that's going to be the focus in this next recruiting class, as well as still taking a high school class. So lot of work and maneuvering, and try to look at our numbers and manage, and then seeing what happens to our scholarship numbers with the new limits that are going in, and what's going to happen there. But right now we're still working off of the 63 FCS scholarship limit, and that's what we'll start off with in 25.
Yeah. I mean, much different, Kyle, than other coaches we talk to. I mean,
Right.
everybody else is crushing the transfer portal, but I'm sure for you, starting literally from the ground up, you need that transfer portal. You're excited about it. So that's great.
It'll be an ad, and we're going to always look at every resource available, but also we know that we have the opportunity to, want to build something and build a foundation and build a culture right off the bat, and not just be transfer you right off the bat,
Right.
So but yeah, there's a lot of different angles to this, and we're looking at everything we can to give us the best opportunity to compete right off the bat.
Yeah, awesome. Well, that's all we got for you, Coach. We really appreciate your time, and we talked before we recorded here. Good luck to your son tonight with this football game, and we'll catch up soon.
Okay, good to see you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach Bush.
Welcome back. Hope everyone enjoyed that interview with Coach Bush. We're going to roll through our conference standings now. So, Kyle, I mean, this is some shit.
Yeah. Tight race. I mean, obviously UIW takes sole possession of first place with that win over Southeastern. They control their own destiny, but anything can happen in these last 4 weeks. I mean, Southeastern sitting in second.
Yeah, I mean, they're right there. I mean, and then you also have Lamar and Nicholls sitting there with only one loss in the conference. Talking to my dad and brother, they spoke with the commissioner, and I think he was at the game. If Southeastern wins out, I mean, they have a very, very good chance of getting an at-large bid. Obviously, we got to see what happens. We're just basically projecting this like UIW is going to win the conference, right? They're going to win out with how dominant they've been. But SFA sitting there, they
can cause some problems for people.
They're the disruptor. Yeah. I mean, they can cause some serious issues to really, see what how this conference shakes out.
Yeah. Lamar quietly in the hunt as well. I mean, it's going to be, I think they got UIW here in a couple weeks, so that could really blow some things up. And then SFA, UIW play later in the season. So this is far from over.
Yeah. Definitely far from over. Southeastern's last game is the Battle of the Bell against Nicholls. So, I'm very excited to see how the conference shakes out. We'll see what happens, but that's all we got for y'all today. Appreciate y'all joining us. Hope y'all enjoyed it as much as we did. Great weekend.
Yep.
And we'll see you on Friday for our Week 10 preview. God damn, we're already in Week 10. All right, everyone have a great week. Peace.
Cheers.